Om Jnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Welcome once again to this small, humble channel where we look at the world, we try to look at the world through the lens of the ancient wisdom of India, specifically the Vedic literature, specifically the Bhakti literature, such as the two great torch bearers of light in this Kali Yuga, namely the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. For those of you who don't know what the Kali Yuga is, this is the age in which we live in, which started about 5,000 years ago and was supposed to last for another 427,000 years, and things are not so bright in this age. As you can see around us, it only gets worse, supposedly. So if you're interested in Hinduism and Hindu theology, yoga, philosophy, bhakti, kirtans, you believe in reincarnation, you don't want to take birth again, then please do subscribe. It'd be a great honor for me. It helps the algorithm. And if you listen to the quotes that I recite or that I put forth on this channel, then according to these ancient Sanskrit texts, you get benefit, you get spiritual strength, you get reconnected to your source even more. And then you can go out in the world or live in the world with more ease and peace and happiness and strength. And I can testify to that. So we're starting a series called Being Dear to God. And in the Bhagavad Gita, for those of you who don't know the Bhagavad Gita, it's considered to be the Bible of Hinduism, probably the most widely read, authoritative sacred text in all of Asia, probably, and certainly in India, shared by all the different yoga schools. And, the famous dialogue between Krishna, who's considered to be God, the supreme person, and his friend Arjuna. At the end of the 12th chapter, there's 7 or 8 verses where God says, one who does this, or acts like this, and that is very dear to me. So if it's in your best interest, which I definitely think it is, and if you're watching this, we all agree that it's in our best interest to be dear to God, then it behooves us, so to speak, to remind ourselves about what's pleasing to God, right? So let's start today with this series, Being Dear to God, and we'll start reading from the Bhagavad Gita. I have the edition written by H.D. Goswami, Hridayananda Goswami, Dr. Howard Resnick, one of my dear spiritual gurus, my teachers, and so listen to this. We'll go with verse 13 today. And it's pretty dense. Not hating any being, friendly and also kind, with no I and mine, equal in sorrow and joy, forgiving. And then there's a few verses more than points in the next verse. One so devoted to me is dear to me. Like, in other words, there's all this list, and then he concludes. Krishna says, one who has those qualities or who acts like that is dear to me, right? So we're not even going to go through this one verse. Let's just go with 3 points. Not hating any being, friendly, and also kind. Those 3 things, right? So, not hating any being. Like, a spiritually advanced person is supposed, and I'm talking to myself here, I'm preaching to myself, but a spiritually advanced person is supposed to not have enemies, to not have any feeling of revenge towards anyone. He's supposed to be totally forgiving. Not hating any being. So if you have hate for XYZ person, then that's a stumbling block. That's a big stumbling block for you being dear to God, right? So we can really talk a long time about not being angry with the instruments of your karma and, how to be forgiving when you remind yourself that, the shit you're experiencing, excuse my language, the stuff you're experiencing right now is actually a result of what you did to someone else in a past life. What goes around comes around. So we can do a lot of talking on that point. But the principle is this: not hating anyone, not hating any being, right? So if you got hate in your heart, that's a problem to being dear to God. Not hating any being. Friendly and also kind. That's just one. Friendly and also kind. So you don't hate anyone, but you're also friendly and also kind. But you can't really be friendly and kind unless you're living a pure lifestyle, or at least you're trying to live a pure lifestyle, and you're filling your cup with God consciousness. I mean, I really do not believe that someone can be a secular atheist friendly and kind. I mean, you can, but it doesn't go very deep, and it doesn't go very deep very long, right? Real kindness or deep kindness, deep friendliness towards others is a symptom, is a secondary manifestation of deep God consciousness in one's heart, right? When you're able to reflect God's love, God's light, and God's love onto others, then you're really being kind and you're being really friendly, right? So there's material, superficial kindness and friendliness, and then there's like deep, real, genuine friendliness and kindness, which comes from the soul and not just the mind and the intellect, but deeply from the soul. But that soul is only limited. And right now, every soul in this world is conditioned practically, and has a lot of crap on it and conditioning and greed and anger and lust and all that. So it takes a lot of mercy from God to be able to manifest even a little bit of his grace towards others. But that's what you should be focusing on. So, not hating any being. 2, being friendly and also kind. And finally, with no I and mine. I and mine. Like, I am this body. I am the author of all my acts. I am the master of my destiny. And mine, this is same thing. This is my body. This is my husband. This is my wife. This is my car. This is my bank account. This is my clothes, and so on. So that concept of I and mine is a stumbling block, just like hate is. And so, when you are free of this notion of I and mine, then you can be dear to God. So we should work on these points. Not hating any being, being friendly and also kind, with no concept of I and mine. If we just meditate on that a little bit, then we can hope to be a little bit more dear to God. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Thanks again. Hare Krishna.